All right, thank you guys. Welcome to our NBA video here today for Monday, May 3rd. My name is Brock Page and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. Despite a pretty rough day on my Patreon website yesterday, we're still 4-1 in our last 5 extra daily pick tier package plays on that Patreon page. And if you want to access today's extra daily pick, it's only going to cost you just $2.99. We're also 5-1 in our last 6 board member tier package picks on that Patreon site as well. We currently have over 1,075 members who are signed up and active on that site. And if you want to see which one of these YouTube picks I'm actually betting on personally, link for that page is in the description section below. Once again, that's patreon.com/BrockPage. And with that, let's go ahead and dive into some Monday action. We're going to start with the Magic taking on the Pistons, 7 p.m. Eastern start time. The Detroit Pistons are -2.5 at home, totals 213 and a hook. And if you like the Magic in an upset victory on the road here, they're plus $1.10 for some money line cash. Now Orlando's lost 7 out of their last 9 ball games, 2-7 against the number during that span. Now leading scorer Terrence Ross, he's out today. Carter Williams, Porter, Ennis, and Okike. They're also sitting this one out today as well. Orlando has yet to reach double-digit victories on the road this year. They're just 9-21 straight up in their road games. Orlando's also dead last in the NBA in offensive field goal percentage, and they average just 101 points a game when they travel. They're taking on a Pistons team who's going to work without a bunch of their key players also. Ellington, Joseph, Plumlee, Grant, Okafor, and Magruder, they're all out. Hamidou Diallo is questionable. Probably not going to recognize a lot of guys on the court here tonight. But the Pistons are 6-4 against the number in their last 10 meetings with Orlando. And they've gone 17-12 against the spread in their 29 home games. The Pistons also allowed just 107 points per contest at the Little Caesars Arena. Josh Jackson's in the lineup here tonight. He's scoring 13.5 points per contest, 4 rebounds, 2 assists for the guard. Meanwhile, Saddiq Bey is averaging nearly a dozen a night himself, along with 4 rebounds. When it comes to the total on this one, Detroit's 4-1 to the under in their last 5 ball games, 70% to the under in their last 10. I'm going to lean toward the Detroit Pistons -2.5 and the under 213 and a hook. Next game, Pacers, Wizards, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Washington's -5, numbers 246. The Wizards are 12-3 straight up in their last 15 outings, and they went 80% against the number during that span. Washington is amongst the best scoring teams at home in the entire NBA. They're in the top 3 in road scoring, top 10 in offensive rebounding. Bradley Beal scoring 31 points a night, 4 rebounds, 4.5 assists for the starting guard. Meanwhile, Russell Westbrook is averaging nearly 22 a game himself, 11 rebounds, 11 assists for the multi-time All-Star. Washington scores over 118 points a night at the Capital One Arena. They're taking on a Pacers squad who's 3 games below 500. And they may have to go to work without their best player, Malcolm Brogdon. He's questionable with a hammy injury. Miles Turner's also still out indefinitely. Jeremy Lamb, he's questionable with a knee. Now, the Pacers are one of the worst rebounding teams in the league. They're in the bottom 5 in offensive rebounding, bottom 5 in defensive rebounding on the road. They've also played quite poorly on the defensive end of the court. They're in the bottom 10 in the league in points allowed per contest. And out of Indiana's 29 games they played as the underdog, they've picked up the W only 10 times. Now, total-wise, 6 out of Indy's last 10 meetings with Washington stayed under the line. Meanwhile, the Wizards saw 2 out of their last 3 stay under the total themselves, 6-3 to the under in their last 9. Throwing out the Dallas game, I'm going to lean toward the Washington Wizards -5 and the under 246. Next ball game, Warriors, Pelicans, 7:30 p.m. East. The New Orleans Pelicans are -2, totals 236.5. And New Orleans is on a 2-game winning streak where they also went 5-1 against the spread in their last 6. The Pelicans currently have a winning record at the Smoothie King Center, And they're easily the best rebounding team in the association. The Pels are currently in the top 3 in both offensive and defensive rebounding. Zion Williamson, he's scoring 27 points a night, 7 rebounds, 3 assists for the big forward. Meanwhile, Brandon Ingram's dropping 24 points a game himself, 5 rebounds, 4 assists for Ingram. The Pelicans are one of the better scoring teams in the association right now as well. They're averaging over 116 points a game as the official home team. Now they're taking on a Golden State club who plays their worst basketball on the road. The Warriors have gone just 13-21 straight up as the road team. They covered the point spread in just 38% of those contests. Now Golden State's second leading scorer, Andrew Wiggins, he's questionable for tonight's action. He's actually battling a knee injury. Meanwhile, Kelly Oubre, he's been ruled out for tonight's contest as well. And contrary to the Pelicans here, Golden State is one of the worst rebounding teams in the game right now. And a little bit more specifically here, they're dead last in the NBA in defensive rebounding. They're also in the bottom 10 in offensive rebounding as well. Now, total-wise, 6 out of Golden State's last 9 ball games stayed under the line. 21-13 to the under when they travel. Meanwhile, the Pels are 70% to the under in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the New Orleans Pelicans -2 and the under 236.5. Next contest, Blazers, Hawks, 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Atlanta's -1.5, totals 235. Atlanta's lost 3 out of their last 4 ball games, just 1-3 against the spread during that stretch as well. Now Hunter, he's still out for Atlanta. Snell and Bogdanovich, they're questionable. The Hawks have also been kind of getting off to a slow start at the State Farm Arena this year. They're currently in the bottom 10 in first quarter scoring at home. They're taking on a Portland club who's on a 4-game winning streak themselves, and they actually lead the NBA in first quarter scoring as well. Now, in addition to going 70% against the number in their last 10 ball games, they're currently 20-12 straight up in their road contests. Now, Portland's in the top 3 in the league in shooting the 3 ball on the road, and they also average 117 points a game away from their home court. Of course, when you're talking about Portland, you got to talk about Damian Lillard, who's actually scoring over 28 points a game, 4 rebounds, 7 assists for the all-star point guard. Meanwhile, Norm Powell scoring over 17 a night himself, 3 rebounds, 2 assists for the forward. Now, Portland drills nearly 40% of their three-pointers collectively as a team. When it comes to the total in this one, oddly enough, 2 out of Portland's last 3 ball games stayed under the line. The Blazers have officially gone 60% to the under in their last 10 as well. Meanwhile, the Hawks are 4-1 to the under in their last 5 themselves. Atlanta's also gone 60% to the under in their last 10. I'm going to lean toward the Portland Trailblazers +1.5 and the under 235. Next matchup, it is going to be Sixers versus the Bulls, 9 p.m. Eastern tip-off. Philadelphia's -6.5, totals 213. Now the Sixers are on a 4-game winning streak, first place in the Eastern Conference by half a game. Philadelphia is amongst the best defensive teams in the NBA right now. They're in the top 5 in fewest points allowed on the road, and they're also in the top 10 in defensive rebounding. Joel Embiid scoring 29 points a game, 10 rebounds, 3 assists for the big center. Meanwhile, Tobias Harris is scoring over 19.5 points a night himself, 7 boards and 3 assists for Toby. The Sixers are currently 22 games above 500, and they're winning nearly 80% of their contests when favored. Now, the Sixers are taking on a Chicago Bulls team who unfortunately is still going to work without their best player, Zach LaVine. I think I said a week ago, he's been on a year-long COVID protocol stint here. I don't know what's going on. I don't think he's in COVID protocol. I think he's just taking a little breather here. But officially in COVID protocol, man, that terrible thing there for him. But anyway, their second leading scorer, Nick Vucevic, he's questionable for tonight's action as well. The Bulls are currently on a 3-game losing streak, and they also find themselves 12 games below 500. They've also been victorious in just 12 of 31 home games, and they successfully covered the point spread in 38% of those contests. Chicago's in the bottom 10 in scoring, bottom 10 in defensive field goal percentage. Now, total-wise, oddly enough, Chicago saw contests with Miami, Cleveland, and Memphis get over the line here recently. Meanwhile, Philadelphia saw their last 2 straight get over the total themselves, 4-3 to the over in their last 7. I'm going to lean toward the Philadelphia 76ers minus 6.5 and the over 213. And, prayers to Zach LaVine. I hope he makes it. I hope, he makes it. COVID's deadly, and he's been battling COVID protocol for some time now. So prayers to Zach. Anyway, next game, Knicks, Grizzlies, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The Memphis Grizzlies are minus 3.5, numbers 218 flat. Now, Memphis has lost 5 out of their last 8 ball games. They also play their worst basketball at the FedEx Forum. Memphis is currently 14-17 straight up as the official home team, and they scored just 109 points a night in that same category. The Grizzlies are also in the bottom 10 in the NBA in defending the 3-ball at home as well. They're taking on a Knicks team who remains one of the hottest teams in the East right now. They're currently 11-1 straight up in their last dozen. And they also successfully covered the point spread in 14 out of their last 15. Now, New York is still the best defensive team in the league, and they've been that way consistently all season long. Now, New York allows just 103 points a game when they travel, and they're first in the NBA in defensive field goal percentage. Julius Randle scoring over 24 points a game, 10 rebounds, 5 assists for the forward. Meanwhile, R.J. Barrett scoring over 17.5 points a game himself, 5 rebounds, 3 assists for Barrett. Now, the Knicks are holding their opponents to just 32% shooting from 3-land when they travel. When it comes to the total in this one, New York's 18-13 to the under on the road. Memphis saw 5 out of their last 7 stay under the total themselves. The Grizzlies are also 20-11 to the under at the FedEx Forum. I'm going to lean toward the New York Knicks plus 3.5 and the under 218. Next contest, Spurs, Jazz, 10 o'clock Eastern start time. The Utah Jazz are minus 7.5, totals 223 juice to the under. And despite the absence of Conley and Mitchell, Utah is still the best home team in the game right now. They're a staggering 27-4 straight up at the Vivint Smart Home Arena. And they're currently tied with the Phoenix Suns for the best record in the NBA. Utah leads the NBA defensively in home points allowed. They're giving up just 103 points a game on their home court. They're also first in the NBA in defending the 3-ball at home as well. They're holding their opponents to just 31% shooting from beyond the arc in that category. Jordan Clarkson's averaging over 17 points a night off the bench, 4 rebounds, 2 assists for the role-playing guard. Meanwhile, Rudy Gobert is scoring over 14 points a game himself, along with over 13 rebounds. The Jazz are currently 21-10 against the spread as the home team. They're taking on a Spurs club who's on a 3-game losing streak, and they also might have to go to work here this evening without their second leading scorer, DeJounte Murray. Now, the guard is unfortunately currently battling a knee injury. Meanwhile, Trey Lyles, he's also questionable with an ankle injury as well. The Spurs currently have a losing record on the season right now, and they also rank in the bottom 3 in the entire NBA in defensive rebounding. San Antonio is also in the bottom 10 in defending the 3-ball as well. And when it comes to the total in this one, San Antonio's last 4 straight all got over the total. 17-13 of the over as the road team. Meanwhile, 2 out of Utah's last 3 got over the line themselves. 70% to the over in their last 10 meetings with the Spurs. I'm going to lean toward the Utah Jazz minus 7.5 and the over 223. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be Nuggets versus the Lakers, 10 p.m. Eastern tip-off. The Denver Nuggets are minus 3.5, totals 218. Now, Denver's currently on a 5-game winning streak, 9-1 straight up in their last 10. The Nuggets are 22 games above 500 right now, and they find themselves with the second-best record in the entire NBA. Denver also leads the NBA currently in defensive rebounding on the road. They allow just 109 points per contest when they travel. Nikola Jokic is scoring over 26 points a game, 10 rebounds, 8.5 assists for the Joker. Meanwhile, Michael Porter Jr. scoring nearly 19 a game himself, along with 7 rebounds. Now they're taking on a Laker club who's on a 3-game losing streak. And in addition to that, they also failed to cover the point spread in their last 7 straight. Now the LA Lakers have really struggled to get on the board this year. They're in the bottom 10 in the association here in scoring on average per contest. They're also in the bottom 3 in shooting the 3-ball at home. As a matter of fact, the Lakers make only 33% of their 3-pointers as the home team. LeBron James is questionable. Dennis Schroeder, he's also questionable for tonight's contest. And I'll tell you this much, regardless of whether they play or not, the Lakers as a team, they're winning just 17% of their ball games as the underdog. So might be a low percentage wager for you here tonight if you're leaning toward Los Angeles. Now, total-wise, 5 out of the Lakers' last 9 ball games got over the line, 80% to the over in their last 10 meetings with Denver. Meanwhile, the Nuggets are 36-28 to the over for the entire season themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Denver Nuggets minus 3.5 and the over 218. And with that, guys, now we're going to jump into our quick pick recap, powered to you by my Patreon website. I like Detroit minus 2.5, under 213 and a hook. Washington Wizards minus 5, under 246. New Orleans Pelicans minus 2, under 236.5. Portland plus 1.5, under 235. Philadelphia minus 6.5, over 213. New York Knicks plus 3.5, under 218. Utah Jazz minus 7.5, over 223. Before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we are 4-1 in our last 5 extra daily pick tier package plays on my Patreon website. We're also 5-1 in our last 6 board member tier package picks on that very same Patreon page. I'm going to lean toward the Denver Nuggets minus 3.5 in the over 218. And with that, guys, now it's time for our shout outs to our top 10 YouTube commenters over the past couple of days or so. Shout out to Mike Ernest, Kush Raja, Compton Rob, Mike Ritson, Gary DiStefano, Rose Dollars, Henry Diaz, Darnell Huff. Shout out to Kazim, Ali School and College. And last but certainly not least, got to give a shout out to my good friend, Aaron Posey. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys decide to get a package here today on Patreon, just keep in mind, we're going to bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, happy Monday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.